We'll get back to the chat in a little bit, some of the NFL news and notes, but want to again shout out Britt Flynn's waiver wire article over at fantasyalarm.com. And Coop and I are going to run through right now our top 3 waiver wire claims at each position. And I'll rattle them off, and Coop will give you which one he likes the most out of the crew. We start off at the quarterback position here, Coop. Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so with this one, Derek Carr is, the most trustworthy, but with all the injuries, I'm not sure I can go there, man. I look through these ones. Britt makes a good point for all 3 in the article, so make sure you check that out. But Baker Mayfield is the one where I sit back and I say, over the last 5 weeks or so, what exactly have you gotten from Baker Mayfield that you wouldn't get from like a Justin Herbert, right? Like he's coming out, he's thrown at least 2 touchdowns in 4 out of the last 5. He's averaging 250 yards, right? And if you're got a bye week this week, I know there's a lot of people that, were starting Lamar Jackson or starting Josh Allen. Why wouldn't you want to start him against the Panthers? So for me, I look at Baker and say, you know what? As long as Mike Evans is healthy, as long as Chris Godwin's there, Baker can get it done.
All right. I love it. Let's look at the running back position. Top 3 waiver wire running backs. Well, these aren't even the ones from the article. Let me pull the ones from the article here. Boom. Ty Chandler, Ezekiel Elliott. Is that the Cowboys homer and Britt coming out? I don't know. And then Jeff Wilson. Give you a little honorable mention to, well, obviously Zach Moss if he's available. That's the must, but there you go. I'll give you those options there. Ty Chandler, Ezekiel Elliott, Jeff Wilson.
Yeah. So that's we don't need to talk about Zach Moss beyond. I'll even throw in, I personally am trying to add him defensively to prevent other people from getting him. Like, just even if I'm not going to use him, Zach Moss is that kind of guy where I'm going to use the rest of my fab on him. But the guy that I like best of this crew is honestly Ty Chandler, just because Alexander Madison he's gotten the full workload in enough of these games and not looked great. And Ty Chandler, when he gets in there, looks pretty good. I personally think that when they sit back and they say, we're going to evaluate the quarterback position, we're going to evaluate a lot of positions, that maybe Ty Chandler is in a spot where he can start carving out a role for himself. There's not a lot of situations where these guys can even get to a 50-50 spot. So if Zach Moss isn't on the table, Ty Chandler is the one I
want. All right. Top 3 waiver wire ads at the wide receiver position here. Greg Dortch, Curtis Samuel, Jaden Reed. I feel like Jaden Reed is going to be everybody's darling here.
Yeah, and he should be because with Luke Musgrave out, here was the problem for Jaden Reed early on, is that it was Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs on the outside, and Jaden Reed played the slot. And when they went 2 wide receiver sets, with 2 tight ends, with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave mixed in there, he was the odd man out. Well, with Luke Musgrave, literally has a lacerated kidney. So he's on IR. He's missing the next 3 games minimum, but I don't know how you come back and play with injured organs. So I think that it could be a situation where they just go 3 wide receiver sets rest of the season, in which case Jaden Reed's my favorite from that group. I'll also throw a little honorable mention to Greg Dortch. He passed one of the hurdles to potentially having a full-time role in that Zach Pascal returned. Zach Pascal had kind of been filling in for Michael Wilson when he was out. Pascal played only like 6 snaps. So they looked at it and said, you know what? Dortch over Pascal. Now we just have to see what happens with Mike Wilson. But Greg Dortch, I mean, in the games he's played historically, he's been hot. If anything happens to Rondell Moore as well, he's the definitive backup for him. So a guy you got to keep an eye on in deeper leagues.
Yeah, he had like 9 targets 2 weeks ago. Got into the end zone this week. It's definitely it's an offense. The thing that I love about the return of Kyler Murray is that it really has turned around the passing game, and it has opened these guys up into being, intriguing depth receivers. Like when you're sitting here with 6 teams on a bye week, to know that you can kind of look and see, is Michael Wilson back? How does, Arizona's opponent match up against the slot? And will that make Rondell Moore a little bit more appeasable, right? I mean, that's what I like about, adding that in. So yeah, Dortch, as long as he's getting those snaps, definitely worthwhile there. All right, tight end whisperer, Andrew Cooper. Here you go. Top waiver wire tight ends. Britt's got Pat Freiermuth, Tucker Kraft. You talked about Luke Musgrave being out. Tucker Kraft is his replacement. Tyler Higbee with the infamous 2-touchdown Higbee game. that he throws in every so often just so everybody can use all their fab on him to never see him get in the end zone again.
Yeah, I can't do it, dude. We've been we've been hooked and rug pulled by the Tyler Higbee. Because the thing is, he comes out next game blocks on like 10 pass plays, so I can't do it there. I want to mention Isaiah Likely is the guy I like down the stretch, but he's on bye this week. The guy that you have to go for right now is Pat Freiermuth, and the reason being is this deep in the season, we need to have some sort of catalyst for change. If you look at the breakout stretch for Amon-Ra St. Brown, it wasn't just that he was a rookie and had to get up to speed. It was that guys got hurt and they changed the play caller. And then they started using this guy in a new capacity, and they found out, wait a second, we have good players on this team and we should use them. And then for the rest of the year, and also for the rest of time, probably, Amon-Ra St. Brown's been awesome. Well, Pat Freiermuth has been awesome, and Matt Canada was just running all these crazy concepts from college and all these crazy things that weren't really working out. So they got rid of him and went back to the meat and potatoes. They looked around and said, who are our best players? Let's get him the ball. And Pat Freiermuth got 11 targets and 120 yards, not only led all tight ends, but all players in receiving yards this week. So when you have a performance like that tied to a catalyst for change, you got to go for that. And people will say, oh, well, you know what? It's because he played the Bengals and they're one of the stone worst defenses versus the tight end. Well, guess what? He gets to play the Bengals again in the playoffs, fantasy playoffs, week 16, right before championship week. So if you liked what you saw this week, you're going to see it again. So Pat Freiermuth, there it is. Pat Freiermuth, get him going.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are our top waiver wire ads at each position. Again, head over to fantasyalarm.com. Check out the waiver wire article from Britt Flynn. You will not be sorry.